The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. This is James from Cave Dweller Music. I am joined by my co-host Brendan. Today we have two guests for you. They're both from the band Caged from Philadelphia. We have John and Joe, but Joe is also in the band Quiet Man, who released their debut album, The Starving Lesson, this year. You may have heard of it. Thanks so much for coming on the show. It's great to have you on. Do you want to tell everyone just a little bit about sort of who you are and what the band's about?
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're very stoked to be on this podcast. So I'm John. I'm the vocalist for Caged. Joe does noise / no input mixer. So overall, we're a doom meets sludge meets death metal band from Philadelphia. We started late. We formed the band late 2018, and 2020 is when we kind of got together and recorded our debut EP, Stricken by Continuance. We put that on Transylvania Recordings. But as we recorded the EP, our bassist, he kept mentioning it'd be cool for us to have like another element to the band, like some noise. He bigged up Joe, who I had known from his projects, Godroot at the time, and also Static Brothers, a hip hop group. And I think eventually we just wound up having Joe come to a few practices, and we had recorded the EP, but then the pandemic hit, lockdowns hit, and we sent Joe the EP and asked what he could do with it. And he was the fifth member of the band. And yeah, after that, we very recently put out our debut album on Translation Lost Records called From Roving About the Earth. And that came out September of 2023.
That is a great album, by the way. Brendan shared that with me. I hadn't heard it before, and love the sound that you guys captured there. Really unique.
Thanks.
Joe, you and I were talking before we started recording about some of the stuff that you incorporated in that album. I know you had a lot of samples and mixing and a lot of cool sort of unique aspects that you worked in, taken from like religious sermons and other areas. How did you find inspiration for that stuff?
Well, you know, I think the first place I look for inspiration is the lyrics John's writing. You know, when I'm adding samples to a song, I want it to be relevant to what the song's about, you know. And John is also really good at finding samples as well. So
cool.
That's number one. But then, you know, from there, it kind of could be anything, right? Like in this case, you mentioned religious sermons, right? So you're talking about the song Isaac and Rope, the first song on the album.
Yes.
In that case, you know, the inspiration comes from the sort of religious bent to John's lyrics, and then my own record collection. You know, I've been a DJ a long time and a crate digger for even longer. And I had some old Jimmy Swaggart LPs lying around. Jimmy Swaggart was a pretty famous like American televangelist, and like all those guys, he put records out of his sermons, and you know, that seemed like a very obvious thing to include on a song like this, right? His very like dynamic and like loud like preaching style lends itself really well. And then on top of that, you know, one thing leads to another, right? Like that sounds cool on the record. John does a little research into the figure, and you found the sample that starts the whole thing, which is his big public apology, right? Like he's kind of a disgraced TV preacher. I think, what was the scandal, John? Was he cheating on his wife and got caught?
Yeah, I think he had a bunch of hookers, and it got public, and
oh boy,
you know, very very televangelist style. He brought it up to his flock at a live sermon, and you can kind of, if you listen closely to the sample, you can hear a bunch of people, mainly women, crying in the background as he's you know, doing his crocodile tears. So it seemed very fitting to kind of the theme of that particular song.
Right, like the sort of like intense like culmination of like the the hypocrisy and the misuse of station and like those types of things that come along with a lot, unfortunately, with a lot of people's practice of religion in the world.
Right. So with some of these songs, did the song come first or did the sample come first?
I think in this case, the song came first. I know for Held Still on the Running Water, we were sitting on that sample, I think, for a little bit, and that one Ryan pulled out. But yeah, sometimes we may have a little bank of samples going, but sometimes once we get the song closer to finalized, then we start tweaking with some little things to spice it up.
Right. Cool.
And the album art, the imagery, like who came up with that concept?
I enlisted Mark McCoy, who's done artwork for bands like Miasmatic Necrosis, Pig Destroyer, Full of Hell.
Awesome.
He has some really good realistic images. And when I reached out to him and commissioned him for the project, him and I spoke on the phone for a little bit. And my big thing with artwork, I like sending off the music and the lyrics to the artist because I have no artistic abilities whatsoever. So I like for them to be able to render up their own interpretation of what they think is fitting based on the music. And I kind of chatted with him about the themes of some of the songs. Wanted something a little bit religious, but I also wanted something kind of to like unintentionally go off the kind of theme that we had with the EP, where we have a piece of art, no lyrics or no writing, no words, no logo, just image. And that's kind of what I want somebody who's going to be listening to the music to see, just the image, and then have that speak for itself. So I think he did a fucking fantastic job with the artwork and the layout.
He nailed it.
Looks like an eye in a way too, and like from afar.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, that's really great.
And obviously, this is your second release overall, first album. But since Stricken by Continuance, your sounds changed a little bit. It kind of seems like it's refined. What was the driving force to kind of pivot, I guess, between that album and this album?
Make it more grimy.
Yeah, more atmospheric, more grimy. I would say is the way Brendan's right.
Yeah, I guess with this album, with Stricken by Continuance, some of those songs were they started off as leftover songs between me and Ryan's former band, which is called Black Urn. And some of those songs were unused stuff that we didn't really get the opportunity to do with that band. Like that band was more grindcore meets sludge, and we kind of wanted to get a little bit darker. So we kind of hit the ground running with dirty doom, death metal type stuff. And then with this album, we were kind of creating these songs a little bit more from scratch, doing some things that we hadn't really tapped into. We wanted to get some like kind of I don't know, like death doomy elements. I think Isaac and Rob was probably one of the first songs that we did, and then this is the first record where Joe was with us for the inception of the record and at the ground level with writing. So that influenced some of the writing as well. It allowed us to save some room for him to bounce his ideas off us and vice versa. And so it's a little bit more experimental as opposed to the EP.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it. It was like there was some stuff going on that felt fresh and exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely cool.
Yeah.
Joe, there was a topic we wanted to discuss with you, which is the inclusion of, I guess, spinning and sampling in this way in extreme metal. It's not so much something that you see often as DJing in extreme metal. Is much more of a new metal concept to most people. So I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Is it something that is done more than people think, or is it like a newer thing that people are starting to do? Or
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's a new thing, right? Because like Slipknot had a DJ, and Slipknot's pretty extreme. They are new metal, but like they push it, and like the DJs of the new metal era definitely influenced me, and loom over this project for sure. Like DJ Lethal, Johan, Starscream, all those guys are great. But yeah, I guess you don't see it as much anymore. It seemed like a thing that was like of its era. But you do see a lot more noise elements being incorporated into extreme metal lately, I would say.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah, more and more metal acts either have a vocalist with a noise rig or a dedicated noise person, or collaborate with somebody. Like Boris and Merzbow probably have a big hand in like making this so popular, right? Like all their collaborations are so incredible.
The body
Um,
as well.
Pardon?
The body as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely the body.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I guess for me, I come from like kind of a hip hop background. Like John mentioned, my rap group Static Brothers. We were always like pushing rap into kind of a noisier direction than maybe folks around us. Like that was always our interest, and so to make a turntable like a noise instrument was already something I was doing. And then so if you have a noise guy in the metal band, then it's a small step to include a turntable as well, right?
Mhm.
I like it. I mean, like I think there's two sides to it. One side is that there's a lot of experimentation in the extreme metal side of things. That's pushed into whole new subgenres and new sounds, and I love it. It's great. But then there's also a revival movement of the purist stuff that's come back again, like the new wave OSDM and stuff. So it's like there's two different directions branching off, but each has their own value. So I don't know. It's exciting. It's an exciting time, I think, for the extreme metal.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's thrilling to to bring all those things together. Things that maybe felt separate in the past can be shown to be not all that different, right? And even with the like noise to turntable to like metal sort of combo of it all, like it's not really new either. We mentioned the new metal guys, but going back even further, like groups like Dialect were doing that in the early and mid '90s.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's one of those things that people sort of like look at it as specifically new metal, but it's definitely not. I
Right.
want to ask you as well about your other band. You released your debut album this year, The Starving Lessons with Quiet Man. Tell us a little bit about that project.
Yeah, sure. So, Quiet Man, we call ourselves a psychedelic sludge group, I guess is the pithy descriptor. We've been working on those songs a long time. A lot of them, we used to be called Godroot. We got a new drummer, changed our name to Quiet Man, and a lot of those songs are songs we've been working on, since before the name change. We're thrilled that all came together. In that band, we were really going for a how do we put it? We try to write like sludge that kind of takes you places, right? Has a lot of peaks and valleys that takes you on sort of a musical trip, hopefully.
Oh, it definitely does. It has a lot of. I thought a song was actually starting, and it was actually the middle of like one. Like I think the first song, maybe I was like, "Oh wait, no, this is still the same song." Like this isn't. This is wow. All right, it was really cool to hear that kind of like transition. Like it just went up and down, and then like completely like almost formed into something new, and then came back together again. It's really neat.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll trick you in that band.
I thought it was a good balance on that run of shows we did together for that reason that they had like kind of a set where it's like they're kind of taking you on a journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was about to say take you through a journey through sound. I think that's a like intro to a rock him song. Well, as opposed to
example, this is a journey into sound.
yes. As opposed to Cage, where we're kind of like doing like a little bit more, I don't know, I guess like chaotic, like death type stuff. So I thought it was a very good balance.
Yeah, to give context, John's talking about a short tour we just did with it was Cage and Quiet Man going up to Sherbrooke, Quebec, and back. And yeah, it was a cool 1-2 punch of something maybe more, like you said, like atmospheric peaks and valleys, and then the relentless pummeling that Cage provides.
It was cool. I'm happy I got to see. I went originally because we interviewed Ross's band Sunrot, and he was just like, "Oh, you got to come out and say hi," you know. So I was like, "Oh, I'll definitely come out and say hi." And then it turned out to be this awesome show that was, you know, it was really cool. I wish more people came out, but it is one of those things that's like they just don't know what they missed.
What show was that you were at?
The Cherry Street Station one.
Oh yeah.
Little matinee gig action.
In Wallingford, yeah, it was like a small little spot. It's a cool little venue. It's really neat, but like, yeah, I think it was like a Sunday night, I think, or something like that too, though. So it was like, I don't know.
The hype on the pizza is real.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is.
Really enjoyed that pizza.
Brendan, is that style that you're always preaching about? Or
The New Haven style, yeah.
Yeah,
It was pretty
I have
damn
to try
good.
it.
They're pretty. They were close to like the epicenter.
Ground
Yeah,
zero.
Ross did big up you guys podcast when we were at that gig. Then I went back, listened to a couple episodes, listened to the episode with Sunrod on it. So shout out to
That's
Sunrod.
fun. Great.
They were
How do you-
funny. They're fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
One of the fucking hardest working bands in Ed metal. So
Yeah,
kudos to them.
yeah.
They're killing
They
it.
do an amazing job. They had me hook, line, and sinker with just like sound and everything alone. You know, I was like, wow, this is just a massive group. Like these guys, like it's amazing. It's amazing. So
Another band that like definitely has their foot on the pulse with noise. You know, as long as I've been seeing them, Lex has always been incorporated in some form of noise.
yeah,
As part of their rig.
yeah,
Yeah, there's so many bands killing in that space. Like Body Void's blowing up as well, nailing that sound.
We just played with Body Void in Philly, and yeah, they were incredible live. Just such a sonic steamroller of a band.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
massive. I
I,
feel like shatter houses.
I caught them
Absolutely.
with Jarhead Fertilizer and Primitive Man, and that was a loud show. It was it was excellent.
It's an insane lineup.
Yeah, that's no joke.
It's like $8 a ticket. And it was like a Wednesday night, and I was like, as if I'm not going to go to that. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, that's just silly.
Yeah. So we normally we do obviously the serious questions, and then we like to have some more relaxed questions. And Brendan is the master of these. So, Brendan, did you have some stuff you'd like to ask?
Oh, sure. Well, I always like to figure out like your favorite local venue. Like, where's your your home venue?
Say one of the easiest ones that comes off the tip of my tongue from just playing it so many times, Kung Fu Necktie in Fishtown.
Yeah, agreed.
Um,
I love playing there, and I love seeing shows there.
Nice.
yeah,
What,
just a
what
dive
about
bar, dive bar, good stage, good sound. Yeah, I've played there so many times. It's just such a good little spot. Seeing every type of musical act imaginable there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Union Transfer, as far as a bigger venue, has always been cool sound wise. I think that's one of the first shows you and I went together, Joe, when we saw Death Grips, like 2015, 2016.
That was a pretty good show. But I'll tell you what, the one I saw before that at the First Unitarian Church, a legendary Philly venue, was even
Absolutely.
better. So yeah, the church is another favorite around here.
Hell yeah.
Is it an old church that's converted into a venue?
It's an active, existing Unitarian church that lets people put shows on in their basement.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
in
It's
Australia,
a punk rock institution in Philadelphia. It's been there forever.
and they're
That's
super
cool.
open to bands with different views playing there and stuff. They don't mind that like metal bands and punk play there and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anybody. I've seen all.
I Hate God there a couple of times.
I think
Everybody
the
imaginable.
Unitarians are pretty chill as
Denomination.
far as Protestants go, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
why not? People probably pay money to rent the space, and that's money that wouldn't be there normally.
That's great. I love that. Wish
Yeah.
everyone was more open minded in that sense.
Right?
There was a venue in Australia where I used to live that was an old church that got bought out, and they turned the chapel part into a multi-story putt-putt that was like psychedelic, and then the smaller chapel to the side became a metal venue, and both was cool. It was a really sweet setup. It was in the middle of downtown, so it looked super out of place.
That's pretty cool. How big was the little chapel that had the
I would
middle bit?
say it had a full bar. It had like an outdoor area, and then it had like the actual chapel itself was probably like the size of like a standard sort of basement venue, about that size. But it had really good sound set up, like fantastic sound.
So
cool.
say the churches make for some good acoustics.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It
Stone
sounds
Church
fantastic
in
in there.
Brattleboro. It's pretty cool.
Sorry, Brendan. Didn't mean to derail you there.
No, you're all right. That's what it's all about, right? Well, so opposite side of your hometown, what's your favorite venue outside of Philly?
Oh,
We haven't done as Cage because like we put out our first release in 2020, and then it was like pandemic.
Right.
We did our first kind of like weekend run 2022 with Sunburster. We played Binghamton, Rhode Island, and Brooklyn. And then this time around, I don't think we repeated any places when we did this tour with Quiet Man. But I will say, like personally, one of my favorite places to play is always Binghamton, New York. I got a bunch of friends up there. They have a very strong DIY scene consistent of everything from like grind to hardcore to punk. So every time I've taken bi-metal bands, including Caged up there, it's always like a kind of mixed bill of extreme metal, and it's always people just wilding the fuck out, going crazy in a college town and losing their shit. You always come home with a different story.
yeah, the venue we played there last time was pretty cool too. It was called the Bundy, and it was like a sort of a local history museum.
All right.
The real like
Twilight Zone stuff in there, Twilight Zone memorabilia in there.
yeah,
That
real
was even
DIY
worse.
hours, like finding anywhere they can to put a show on. It's really cool.
That's sweet. Where is your favorite place to eat in Philly? And it's not a cheesesteak.
Why can't it be a cheesesteak?
I don't know. Are cheesesteaks over?
You may.
I don't know.
I think Philadelphians all have their own like personal favorite cheesesteak place. I doubt like being in here this long, anybody like is like it's at the top of their list. For me personally, I love this place. It's a Malaysian place in South Philly called Sky Cafe. It's really good. It like kind of mirrors Thai food, and it's just so fucking good. Real cheap. There was a time where when I was in South Philly, one of my last places, where every Friday for like almost a year, I would order takeout from there. But next to that, I just had our guitarist take his wife to this place, Kalaya in Fishtown, which is just really good Thai food. Some of the spiciest food I've ever had in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
nice.
Thai food can be so hot. Like their heat is when it's up, it's up.
Even for a spice freak like me, I was just in tears.
Yeah.
But
I got to give it up to my favorite Mexican place, Los Gallos at 10th and Wolf.
Hell
And
yeah.
the competition is strong. You know, you can't walk 2 blocks without passing a Mexican restaurant in South Philly. But
Sure.
Los Gallos is the best.
I'm in San Diego. I know what you mean. It's like here it's impossible. Like I moved to a new neighborhood and like I have to try all these places. Like it's not going to happen. There's just too many.
Yeah, it gets wild, man. Like same thing, like with pizza places around here. You know, everyone's like, pizza, 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 pizza. You know. Or,
Joe, what do you go like? What's your favorite Mexican meal like dish?
I like the vegetarian enchiladas in mole they got there.
ooh, I love
Nice.
a good mole.
Yeah.
They also do a very good chile rellenos. Not every place has that dish. Real fond of that one.
Yeah, those are really good too. It's like one of my favorite, my wife's favorites. She always gets that, and I always get some sort of form of mole.
What are your thoughts on like people kind of experimenting with traditional cuisine? Do you think it's like a good idea? Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Do you think it shouldn't be done?
I think people should experiment with everything. It should be done respectfully, and hopefully it's people that have a connection to that culture doing it and making money off it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think as long as you understand what you're doing in flavors, it's fine. I think some people butcher it. Some of the fusion stuff I've seen has been pretty shocking, and some's been phenomenal. So it comes down completely to the chef, I think.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'll agree with that sentiment. I will say that I was driving past my house and I saw some little tiny place that said it was like Mexican and pizza, and I was just like, I'm probably not going to eat there.
No.
John, that's probably good pizza.
Yeah, but
I mean, think about it. Who makes all the pizza in America?
true. Well, true that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never had bad pizza at a place that does Mexican food and pizza.
Calle del Sabor, the place in Fishtown with the right by Confronecti, their taco truck is really good, and they started serving pizza too.
There you go. Maybe it's just like something we're all missing here. There's like a trend of like phenomenal pizza at Mexican places.
Yeah.
I was in the UK earlier this year, and I was in I think it was Glasgow, and I saw a place that said authentic Mexican and milkshakes. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that.
It sounds like they're not mixing them though, right? It's authentic Mexican and milkshakes, right?
There wasn't I just about the quality of either.
It's so close to the border, you know?
Throw pizza in a blender. Well, you may have some there.
Yeah. Turn it into a tortilla.
There is some made up trend in Philly.
I was just about to bring this up. In case you guys come to Philly.
What's this? It's irksome that people even repeat it, but you see it on social media. People are trying to make something called a Philly taco happen.
Okay.
Where there's this pizza place on South Street, which is like sort of a cool street in Philly. Well, like a long time center of counterculture. It's just a cool street that has a lot of cool stuff going on that everybody in the city goes to for different things. And there's a pizza place there with famously gigantic slices called Lorenzo's, and there's a pretty famous cheesesteak place there called Jim's. And people are trying to say that it's normal for us to get a cheesesteak from Jim's and wrap it in a slice from Lorenzo's as a sort of a horrible
I saw that on
taco.
Instagram. So that's what that
nobody
is?
does. It's made up.
Okay. I thought that was like, no way.
Doable based on the pizza size, the size of the slices, but is it eatable? Like, can you actually fit it in your mouth? Like, no.
That's like one of those cases for just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Right.
No. No, it's a Philadelphia myth. Or
The
a
best
myth started
combo
outside
that
of
I've
Philadelphia.
had of
Slander.
Mexican.
A slander of
It's
Philadelphia. is
the,
what it is.
Hypocrisy.
yeah.
The best thing
Like-
I've had from like Mexican fusion type thing is it's a place here in San Diego that does it. They're a drive-through place, and it's a buffalo chicken burrito or taco. Like it doesn't sound great, but it's absolutely phenomenal. They do it with like a Caesar salad, like the romaine leaves, like chopped up with like buffalo sauce with ranch inside the burrito, and it actually is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it could work.
Yeah, that's doable.
I can see it.
Not too out there. Brendan, aside from food, did you have anything else you want to ask?
Yeah.
We always go off the rails with food. Sorry.
No,
guys.
I know. It's so-
I was listening to the episode before we got on this, where you guys interviewed Brian from Val.
Oh yeah.
oh, jeez.
I kind of love the air taken out of you guys, like hype train when he's like, "Oh, I'm vegan."
Yeah.
in one of the food capitals of America.
We
Yeah.
tried. We're like, what about gumbo? It's like, I can still do a vegetarian gumbo. It's like, oh, good.
Yeah. It's like one of those things that's like, oh, cool. So how's the kale on your side? Like I don't know how to really go for that, So yeah, it is what it is. It's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a vegetarian.
Be like, oh hey, what's your favorite type of beer? And they're like, oh, I quit drinking a while back, and I just like, oh,
That's
yeah,
more common. That's a pretty common response. We're like, sweet, that's great.
yeah.
Because I've also quit, so I totally get it.
What's your favorite Mexican milkshake?
I only drink them in Glasgow. Sorry, authentic.
Oh man. So, having been on the road a couple times and whatnot, like, and having like a crazy setup for your DJing and whatnot, have you had any like malfunctions, or you've had to like forego things, or like kind of MacGyver some stuff around?
For the most part, I've been doing this a lot of years, and DJing in like a lot of different contexts, both like at home and on the road, and I've got that stuff down pretty pat. So it's pretty rare I'm in a situation where I'm unprepared or lack a cable or something like that.
Yeah.
There was one time on the road though where the engineer couldn't get the DI working, and we had to improvise. In that case, I plugged into a guitar amp, which was a little weird for the whole noise rig, but we actually all kind of liked it. I might switch to that full time.
Huh. That's
So actually,
cool.
like,
I was in,
work
I was
gave
in
enough.
Connecticut too.
That's
It
right.
was?
Yeah, Brendan, what do you think with the noise sound there?
I remember them like asking you a bunch of questions, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, I didn't want to say where it was and put the engineer on blast, but yeah, he was having some trouble with the DI in that night.
I don't think that's the first time. So, but I love that venue.
Yeah, it came out great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was definitely a cool spot, and the show you guys did was amazing. It definitely solidified my purchase a while back from Transylvania Recordings. I was like, yeah, this is sick. So awesome
Yeah,
stuff.
such a
Yeah.
good label, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Fantastic.
How'd you guys
And
get linked up with him?
Actually, when we were, I don't remember what stage it was. I think we may have already tracked it, or we're in the process of finalizing tracking it. In 2020, I reached out to James, kind of sent a blind message to him, just said, "Hey, I'm a fan of your label. I know you do primarily a lot of West Coast bands, but love to do something with you." And at the time, I think he was going on tour with one of his bands, and he said, "Yeah." I'll check this link out. I'll get back to you when I get back from tour. And he sent me a message later that night. He was like, "Yeah, I love it. Let's do it." And yeah, we had the honor of putting out our EP with him. And then after that, we did a little live stream set that premiered on Cult Nation, and then I think that's what kind of opened the door for us to be on Translation Loss. So
Nice.
big shout out to James in Transylvania for getting everything set up.
That's nice, man. That's
he
really
does
cool.
a lot for the scene, which is awesome to see. And he gives a lot of really good free advice to people like running smaller labels and operating as artists and stuff, which is I love it. He's great.
Yeah, he runs a really
very
impressive
smart dude.
So
Awesome.
we're coming up to the end of the year, and on our site, we're doing sort of like a top 10 vote on best albums of the year. What are a couple of highlights for both of you from 2023?
I know for me, it's not really extreme metal, but
That's fine.
Spotify reminded me that Narrowhead Moments of Clarity album was what I listened to the most in 2023. It's
Okay.
kind of like shoegazy alternative. Trying to think in terms
you
of
said
metal.
Narrowheads? I haven't heard that one. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, Narrowhead Moment of Clarity. I got to see them live in 2023 and 2022, and they put on a fucking crazy live show.
Awesome.
For me, there's a lot of rap this year, actually.
There's been some good hip hop.
Right?
Yeah, the new Armand Hammer really blew me away.
That was good.
That's some of my favorite stuff going right now. I think Billy Woods is one of the best rappers going right now, and his group Armand Hammer with Elucid is pretty incredible. That new record, We Buy Diabetic Test Strips, was excellent.
That's a great album name.
I haven't heard that one. I listened. Aesop Rock had a great album too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yo, We listened to the New Ace record twice in a row on the way home
We
from
did.
Connecticut, and
It's good.
that song about his grandma, I was weeping. I was weeping driving the
It
van.
was a very heavy song.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Yeah,
Ace is one of the best to
we're
ever
big
do it.
Aesop Rock fans.
Yeah.
He
I
doesn't
bought
miss.
2 records from Profound Lore. I bought the new Left Cross album that came out this
Nice.
year, and this band Cruciamentum.
Okay.
Some really fucking solid death metal.
They put out a lot of quality stuff. Another amazing label.
Definitely.
You see my recent purchases in Bandcamp.
My friends who I just
Yeah.
saw at the First Unitarian Church, a Philadelphia band called Rid of Me. They put out an album this year, which I saw was in Decibel's top records of the year. They're kind of like a noise rock band. The guy who plays guitar in that band, Mike, is he runs a record label in Philly called Knife Hits, who put out our recent album on tape. So that's his band, and really, really solid music.
Is
Like
this
I
the
said,
band
they
that
play
had like a self-titled song called "Rid of Me" and they did like a music video from
Yeah.
Knife Hit Records? That's the one you're mentioning.
Yeah, that self-titled song is really good.
Hell yeah.
Obviously, the new Sunrot record ruled.
Yeah. Unfailing Rope.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Casey Strain put out 2 albums too that I like a lot.
Oh, I love the new Tomb Mold. I didn't expect a change in direction there, and that was thrilling.
I feel like I listened to that and I don't remember it, and that's
You know, they used to like have a I don't know. I always thought of them as like being the most like
Aperture
morbid angel.
Body.
I think that was like a companion EP to the main album, The Enduring Spirit.
I think I found the band you're talking about. It was "Rid of Me" with Knife Hit Records, right? That was what you said.
Yeah, Knife Hits is who put out our album on tape, and yeah, that's his. He used to be in the band. Or am I drawing
Fight Amp.
blank? Fight Amp. So
Incredible
this is
band.
their. Taria used to be in Legendary Divorce, so this is kind of their hybrid project. Just a really fucking solid album.
Sick. I write down everything everyone tells me to check out. So I've got that and
Yeah, me too.
Narrowhead. Open another tab to check out after this.
Yeah, I didn't realize I listened to that song or that Narrowhead album as obnoxiously as I did for the year.
That was Spotify that said that, because I swear they're like, it's wrong every year for me, like what they suggest. I'm like, there's no way that was like my most listened to artist or album. There was this one year.
Who was your top this year?
It was Amigo the Devil, according to Spotify. And if you know who that is.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's like the gothic folk guy. He definitely wasn't my most listened to artist, but that's fine. But one year it did bother me because it said my number one artist was that indie band Fleet Foxes, and I literally played them once at a barbecue because someone asked me to put music on, and I didn't know what to play, so I played that. And then that came up as my number one listened thing for Spotify for the whole year.
Did you leave it on loop at the barbecue or something?
I did. I mean, unless it was like playing in my pocket for like way longer or something, I just didn't realize. I don't know, but it was like an hour or two max that they played. So,
Tell you what, that first Fleet Foxes record, very good.
Was that the one that had Father John Misty on it on the drums before he went solo?
I don't know,
because I know he started in the band before he did the whole solo thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think for me, 2020 was Drake and Deftones, and I was like, "Oh, something's not right here." And I'm like, "Oh, I guess 2020 was a emotional year, so maybe it's right. Maybe I'm just not going to publish it live."
yeah, I did not publish the Fleet Fox yet.
That's funny.
I noticed behind you, John, is that a sunbather flag?
It is.
Are you a fan?
Yeah, I do enjoy Death Heaven. I think I just bought the flag when I moved in here. I was like, you know what? I saw it on Death Wish. I'm like, that would kind of tie the room together.
What did you think of the new album?
I listened to it a little bit. It was okay. I'd say I'm a sucker for Deaf Heaven and whichever EP was, I guess, following that, or may have been preceding it.
Like the
Yeah,
earlier era stuff.
yeah,
It was
earlier.
very different, like really different, the new stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how. Sometimes I'm not always a fan of extreme vocalists going clean. Like I can understand it from the creative perspective, but sometimes I'm not always a big fan of it. Like I know Lamb of God did that too, and when I heard like the new Lamb of God and him doing clean vocals, I was just like, oh,
That was rough. That
fucking,
was not.
this
Yeah.
is I could do without
Honestly,
this.
I thought that they peaked with Ashes of the Wake because, like, for me, like that one and As the Palaces Burn are like perfect albums. I listen to those all the time, but there's nothing much after that apart from a few songs from Sacrament that I really come back to.
That's fair. For me, I got on metal late in the game, so like around the time, um, whatever that album, I think it's called Ghost Resolution. When Resolution
Uh-huh.
came out, I was like getting very heavy into metal, and so that album was like right around the time I discovered Lamb of God. So I was fine with that record, but after that, it's a
I
little
think
dicey.
I think that was when did that one come out? That's like a later album of theirs, isn't it? Oh my god.
It had to be like 2011, 2012.
Yes, because they did. That was the one after Wrath.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was the last album that I would consider good. Like the other
yeah.
ones aren't my favorites, but that one was like still had some solid bits on it. But everything since then has just not been great.
Needless to say, there'll probably be minimal, if not no, clean vocals ever on anything Cage related. At
Okay,
least coming, at
that's
least
good.
coming from my mouth, I will say.
You say that now, John.
Joe has
Give it.
plans. Brenda, did you have anything else you wanted to ask there? 'Cause
Well, what's your favorite song to play live?
Ooh.
Oh, I have an answer for that for sure.
I think your answer may be the same as mine. I'll let you go first.
My favorite is Held Still Under Running Water,
Ooh.
specifically because that's the song where I do like the most kind of like traditional scratching. And it's just a lot of fun for me to do that on a heavy metal song, throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, your vocals are brutal on that, John, too.
Thank you. I'd agree. That's definitely up there for me. But for me, it's Unearthed from Heaven's Carrion Pastures. That's the last song off the EP. That's just always been a very ignorant, obnoxious doom song. And I can kind of see the traces of stank face in the uh, rest of the members' faces when we play that. So I've always enjoyed doing that one live.
That one is a stank face situation for sure.
I love that. When something gives you the stanky face,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing. Who got you influenced into doing vocals like that?
I would say kind of like we just discussed. I'd say Randy from Lamb of God. He was one of the first artists that made me want to do vocals. Way back in the day, I was dabbling with rapping, and vocals were or my lyrics were just kind of too damn wordy. So I started getting into metal at the time, going to live metal shows, and thinking, all right, maybe I need to make a kind of career jump. And yeah, I've always loved being able to kind of decipher and follow along to some of the lyrics that Randy from Lamb of God had.
Yeah.
I like Max Cavalera, Sepultura, and then I got heavy into doom metal. Um, Johnny from Iron Monkey was a big influence. Of course, Mike Nine from I Hate God, and I always loved the lyrics from Brian from Thou. So those are some big immediate influences. Made me think, all right, maybe I may have something here. Maybe I'll give this a shot.
Right on. Right on. That's it for me.
All right. Well, we've got one question we ask everyone that comes on the show then, which it's a bit of a hypothetical. You would have heard it probably if you listened to a couple of episodes. If you were stranded on a desert island and you had a solar-powered Discman and 3 CDs, this is for each of you, that you had to listen to on repeat until you got rescued, what would you want to have?
I know that one of them for me is definitely Close to the Edge by Yes. I've been
Nice.
listening to that record since I was like 14 years old, and it hasn't gotten old yet.
Good choice.
Then the other two, I'll probably go with Siamese Dream by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Great.
Nice.
That's also
Good.
stuck with me that long, and maybe Flood by Boris.
Okay. Good spread.
Yeah, I guess at this moment in time, if the plane was going down, like off the top of my head, probably Take Is Needed for Pain by I Hate God. It's just a good one through and through. Probably Jedi Mind Tricks, Violent by Design.
Oh,
nice little double CD. And the last one, so I don't know. I would probably do maybe Black Sabbath, maybe Paranoid.
Nice.
Something to kind of offset the brutalness of the first two.
Paranoid's a solid choice because you got quite a bit of like variety on that album going on.
Yeah.
It's got some catchy shit to kind of lift the spirits up.
Yeah. Joe, I just saw Yes live for the first time like a month ago.
Oh, wow.
Have you caught them before?
I've never seen them. No.
I hadn't either. It was so they technically amazing. Stage presence wise, I accept the fact they are old. They're very old. They can't really move around much, so there's not a huge amount of stage presence, but they sounded phenomenal.
What's the lineup these days? Was John Anderson there?
It was I can't remember who it was. Hang on, let's see. They have that new singer.
Yes, it wasn't John Anderson.
No, it was the guy. Here we go. Steve Howe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the full lineup. I saw it on the new album. While I find it, they brought the visual artist that does all of their album art, and he did a bunch of the art for Asia as well.
Yeah, Roger Dean.
Roger Dean was there, and he gave they didn't have an opening band. They had Roger Dean talk for 30-40 minutes straight.
That's fun.
It was really cool. And he gave his whole life story and talked about like getting into visual art and how he met the band and touring with them over the years and stuff. It was really sweet. So it's Ian Wallace. Oh wait, no, that's former. I can't remember. Okay, Steve Howe, Jeff Downs, Billy Sherwood, John Davison, and Jay Shellen was the current lineup.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it was cool because Dean was saying like he was originally an architect, industrial architect, right? And at his university there was some like funding cuts at the time, so they canceled a bunch of the creative classes, but they'd already paid the teachers ahead for the semester, so they had no students. So apparently they offered like students in other classes to take their course as on top of what they're already doing at no extra cost. So he just started taking like visual art classes on top of his architect classes. And that's how he became a visual artist.
It's pretty cool. That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. No, he's a cool guy. Like, lived a crazy cool life. But yes, worth seeing live, especially if you're a fan. They played a lot of stuff from the early albums, specifically, or exclusively earlier stuff, which was cool. But the new album from this year was fantastic, if you haven't heard it as well.
I did not listen to that. Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Definitely do. If you're an old school fan of the band, you'll like it a lot more than the stuff they put out for a recent while. They had more of like the old school feel, a little less like technical, but more of the proggy songwriting and big expansive tracks and stuff.
That's what I'm into for them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I was talking earlier about like what we try to do in Quiet Man, and I can't speak for my bandmates, but for me, I'm kind of always chasing like the types of like long epics that they write. And yes,
awesome. I appreciate that because it's an art form completely. Being able to create something like that isn't boring.
Mm-hmm.
And theirs is never boring.
Yeah.
Or repetitive.
No, it's true.
Because there's a lot of prog bands that kind of just like, all right, I get it. Like, I love prog. I absolutely, like, my record collection a lot of it is like 70s prog. But some of the stuff, every now and then, I'm like, I know it's a vinyl, but I'd love to skip this. But there's Pink Floyd never bores me. Yes never bores me. Jethro Tull almost never. They have a few misses here and there, but some amazing bands from that period.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that kind of brings us to the end, I guess. But thank you so much for talking to us. It was really, really great, like getting to know you guys and the band and project and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were real happy
so-
to be here. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for having us.
Of course.
Yeah,
Just before we do wrap up,
here.
thank you. We appreciate that a lot. And thank you for checking out the previous episodes as well. We appreciate you listening. But before we wrap up, if people want to support you, buy your music, follow you, what are the best places to do that?
You can find us on Bandcamp, where we have all our merch, including all formats of the new album, cagedoom.bandcamp.com. We're pretty active on Instagram. That's at Cage Doom. On Facebook, Cage Doom. Yeah, we're all out on Spotify, Apple Music, all the other streaming platforms as well.
Awesome.
Or just call me on the phone. You could probably find my number.
Okay.
It's
We can leave
called
it in the description for the episode.
Yeah.
And any tours coming up in the next year planned, or is it just, follow you to find out when that happens?
Yeah, stay
Yeah.
tuned for news about that.
Yeah,
But nothing planned.
brainstorming some stuff for 2024. But
Awesome.
we're working on a companion release to the album, so you could probably speak a little bit more articulately to what's next on the docket.
Oh yeah. I guess just real quick before the end.
Of course.
We've got we're putting together a remix album of From Roving About the Earth that's going to be out sometime early next year with just a lot of great noise, electronic, hip hop artists from Philly and beyond. A lot of local talent that we love. A few artists we've been trying to work with from other places. All putting their unique spins on our songs, remixing them, chopping them up, turning them into noise pieces, drone pieces, techno, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, be on the lookout for that.
Oh, that's awesome. Really cool.
That's
Yeah,
really.
and when
that's
that comes
definitely-
out, you'll probably we'll definitely share something about that on our site when that comes out. So if you're interested, stay tuned as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah. Cheers.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time, and it's been great speaking with you. And anyone listening at home, tune in next time. We'll have another guest for you.